Continuing with Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life. This is rule number 11. Don't bother children while they're skateboarding. This section of rule number 11 is called Self-Appointed Judges of the Human Race. It has not been long since the earth seemed infinitely larger than the people who inhabited it. It was only in the late 1800s that the brilliant biologist Thomas Huxley, staunch defender of Darwin and Aldous Huxley's grandfather. Oh, interesting. I didn't know that. I thought they were the same person, Aldous Huxley and Thomas Huxley. Told the British Parliament that it was literally impossible for mankind to exhaust the oceans. Their power of generation was simply too great, as far as he could determine, compared to even the most assiduous human predations. It's been an even shorter 50 years since Rachel Carson's Silent Spring ignited the environmental movement. 50 years, that's nothing. That's not even yesterday. We've only just developed the conceptual tools and technologies that allow us to understand the web of life, however imperfectly. We deserve a bit of sympathy in consequence for the hypothetical outrage of our destructive behavior. Sometimes we don't know any better. Sometimes we do know better, but haven't yet formulated any practical alternatives. It's not as if life is easy for human beings, after all, even now. And it's only a few decades ago that the majority of human beings were starving, diseased, and illiterate. Wealthy as we are increasingly everywhere, we still only live decades that can be counted on our fingers. Even at present, it is the rare and fortunate family that does not contain at least one member with a serious illness, and all will face that problem eventually. We do what we can to make the best of things in our vulnerability and fragility, and the planet is harder on us than we are on it. We could cut ourselves some slack. I love that paragraph. Human beings are, after all, seriously remarkable creatures. We have no peers. It is not clear that we have any real limits. Things happen now that appeared humanly impossible even at the same time the recent past when we begin to wake up to our planet-sized responsibilities. A few weeks before writing this, I happened across two videos juxtaposed on YouTube. One showed the Olympic gold medal vault from 1956. The other, the Olympic silver medal vault from 2012. It didn't even look like the same sport or the same animal. What Michaela Moroney did in 2012 would have been considered superhuman in the 50s. Parkour, a sport derived from French military obstacle course training, is amazing, as is free running. I watched some compilations of such performances with unabashed admiration. Some of the kids jump off 3-story buildings without injury. It's dangerous and amazing. Crane climbers are so brave it rattles the mind. The same goes for extreme mountain bikers, freestyle snowboarders, surfers of 50-foot waves, and skateboarders. So, Jordan Peterson's a fan of parkour, Parkour, a sport derived from French military obstacle course training. It's amazing, as is free running. Compilations of such performances with unabashed admiration. Some of the kids jump off 3-story buildings without injury. I guess maybe I should let my cat go outside a little more often. Oh, the 3rd story here. While we have this break here, go ahead and hit the thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button, and I'm trying to get this channel to grow. Me and these cats here you hear, we used to live in the woods for like 3 years. And we recently got this apartment, and sometimes in life, a lot of times in life, it's hard to build something from nothing, and that's what we've been doing here. I really like reading. I really like sharing my gift of reading to other people, so the best way to help this channel grow is hit the subscribe button, hit the sub button, and send it one place to your Facebook or your Twitter or Instagram. Come on, guys, stop it. Come on, I got some reading to do. They don't want to hear you guys messing around. Come on. They don't care. Human beings are, after all, seriously remarkable creatures. We have, I read that. The boys who shot up Columbine High School, whom we discussed earlier, had appointed themselves judges of the human race, like the TEDx professor, although much more extreme. You know, one of the Columbine mothers gave a TEDx speech, gave a TED talk, and it has like millions and millions of hits. Like, she would have never been able to give that TED talk if her son didn't kill a bunch of innocent people. I mean, seriously, like, let me give a TED talk. I guess I probably will if I live a little bit longer. I probably will give a TED talk. It'd be absurd for me not to. I mean, seriously, if you've been reading or listening, I'm obviously a really great speaker. Oh, have I lived an interesting life? The boys who shot up the Columbine High School, whom we discussed earlier, had appointed themselves judges of the human race, like the TEDx professor, although much more extreme, like Chris, my doomed friend. For Eric Harris, the most illiterate of the two killers, human beings were a failed and corrupt species. Once a presupposition such as that is accepted, its inner logic will inevitably manifest itself. If something is a plague, as David Attenborough has it, or a cancer, as the Club of Rome claim, the person who eradicates it is a hero, a veritable planetary savior in this case. A real messiah might follow through with his rigorous moral logic and eliminate himself as well. This is what mass murderers, driven by near infinite resentment, typically do. Even their own being does not justify the existence of humanity. In fact, they kill themselves precisely to demonstrate the purity of their commitment to annihilation. No one in the modern world may even object or express the opinion that existence would be bettered by the absence of Jews, blacks, Muslims, or Englishmen. Why then is it virtuous to propose that this planet might be better off if there were fewer people on it? I can't help but to see a skeletal, grinning face, gleeful at the possibility of the apocalypse, hiding not so far behind such statements. And why does it so often seem to be the very people standing so visibly against prejudice who so often appear to feel obligated to denounce humanity itself? I have seen university students, particularly those in the humanities, suffer genuine declines in their mental health from being philosophically berated by such defenders of the planet for their existence as members of the human species. That's a mouthful. It's worse, I think, for young men. As privileged beneficiaries of the patriarchy, their accomplishments, I don't agree with that, their accomplishments are considered unearned. As possible adherents of rape culture, they're sexually suspect. Their ambitions make them plunderers of the planet. They're not welcome. At the junior high school, and university level, they're falling behind educationally. When my son was 14, we discussed his grades. He was doing very well. He said, matter of fact, for a boy. I inquired further. Everyone knew, he said, that girls do better in school than boys. His indication surprised at my ignorance of something not so self-evident. While writing this, I received the latest edition of The Economist. The cover story, the weaker sex, meaning males. In modern universities, women now make up more than 50% of the students and more than 2/3 of all disciplines. Boys are suffering in the modern world. They are more disobedient, negatively, or more independent, positively, than girls, and they suffer for this throughout their pre-university educational career. They are less agreeable, agreeableness being a personality trait associated with compassion, empathy, and avoidance of conflict. They say the higher your agreeableness is, he says the higher your agreeableness is, the higher chance for success. And it says here, his definition of agreeableness is a personality trait associated with compassion, empathy, and avoidance of conflict. These boys are less susceptible to anxiety and depression, at least after both sexes hit puberty. Boys' interests tilt towards things, girls' interests tilt towards people. Strikingly, these differences, strongly influenced by biological factors, are most pronounced in the Scandinavian societies where gender equality has been pushed hardest. This is the opposite of what would be expected by those who insist even more loudly that gender is a social construct. It isn't. This isn't a debate. The data is in. I know, gender is not a social construct. Boys like competition, and they don't like to obey, particularly when they are adolescents. During that time, they are driven to escape their families and establish their own independent existence. There is little difference between doing that and challenging authority. Schools, which were set up in the late 1800s precisely to inculcate obedience, do not take kindly to provocative and daring behavior, no matter how tough-minded and confident it might show a boy or a girl to be. Other factors play their role in the decline of boys. Girls will, for example, play boys' games, but boys are much more reluctant to play girls' games. This is in part because it is admirable for a girl to win when competing with a boy. It is also okay for her to lose to a boy. For a boy to be beat by a girl, however, it is often not okay, and just as often it is even less okay for him to lose. Imagine that a boy and girl age 9 get into a fight just for engaging. The boy is highly suspect. If he wins, he's pathetic. If he loses, well, his life might as well be over, beat up by a girl. Girls can win by winning in their own hierarchy, by being good at what girls value as girls. They can add to this victory by winning in the boys' hierarchy. Boys, however, can only win by winning in the male hierarchy. They will lose status among girls and boys by being good at what girls value. It costs them in reputation among the boys and in attractiveness among the girls. Girls aren't attracted to boys who are their friends, even though they might like them, whatever that means. They are attracted to boys who win status contests with other boys. If you're male, however, you just can't hammer a female as hard as you would a male. Boys won't play truly competitive games with girls. It isn't clear how they can win. As the game turns into a girls' game, therefore, the boys leave. Are the universities, particularly the humanities, about to become a girls' game? Is that what we want? The situation in the universities and in educational institutions in general is far more problematic than basic statistics indicate. If you eliminate the so-called STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics programs, excluding psychology, the female-male ratio is even more skewed. Almost 80% of students majoring in the fields of healthcare, public administration, psychology, and education, you can add journalism to that, which comprise 1/4 of all degrees, are female. I remember my journalism school was probably like, in the University of Texas School of Journalism is probably like 80 or 90% female. It's one of the top journalism schools in the country. Almost 80% of students majoring in the fields of healthcare, public administration, psychology, and education, when comprised 1/4 of all degrees, are female. The disparity is still rapidly increasing. At this rate, there will be very few men in most university disciplines in 15 years. This is not good news for men. It might even be catastrophic news for men, but it's also not good news for women. That was from Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules from Life. That was from rule number 11. Don't bother children while they're skateboarding. And towards the end of that section, they were talking about how women are succeeding in university and men are declining. Men are arrested and commit violent crimes much more often than women. Just when I was walking to the store just earlier for this soda pop, I came across this guy and he had a huge backpack and a mean look on his face, and there was an attractive woman and he was like like trying to talk to her or something. Like he looked like he was about to rape or fight or something. And then she just kept walking, and then he kept walking on the sidewalk and I was next in line, and I just brought up my hands. Like I didn't brought up in fighting position, but I just put my hands up like that because I'm not gonna let somebody punch me in my face. I've been sucker punched too many times in life, and this crazy sucker, if he's not gonna get a shot at me, so I'm not gonna have my hands on the side. I'm just gonna have them right here just in case, So it's something I learned. But thanks for watching. I appreciate it. My little tidbits of information is, what's different from this book. But I encourage you to go out and check out this book from your local library or buy it from a local bookstore. It's the #1 book in America, believe it or not. Over 1 million copies sold. New York Times won't tell you that, but it's the most popular book of 2018. My name is Gregory Brandt. I also wrote a book. You're welcome to check that one out as well. It's not like you wouldn't be welcome. But once again, click the thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button, and thanks for listening. Have a nice day.